This is the Voice for Real Estate podcast. Today, a special edition of Voice for Real Estate, Coastal Home Tour. Coastal Home Tour takes you on a tour of coastal neighborhoods. Your tour guides are knowledgeable and experienced coastal Carolina realtors who know this neighborhood. Listen as they talk about properties, lifestyle, and amenities in this neighborhood.
We're ready to start another edition of Voice for Real Estate, but there's something special about this edition. What we're doing is we've got a Coastal Home Tours that specializes on specific neighborhoods, so you, our listeners, can get a chance to learn about the different neighborhoods along the Carolina coast. And with us today, we have a special person that lives actually in Rivertowne, but she's a specialist for that neighborhood, Susan Matthews. How are you doing today?
Great, Bill. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
No, I'm excited because I know that you really like living there and you like that neighborhood. So you're the perfect one to invite so you can tell our audience about it. So I truly am excited about this. It started with you selling one of the most expensive houses in there last year. You were on the top 10 list. So congratulations on that, I might say.
Thank you.
But you, I just want people to learn about Rivertowne. What, you moved there in 2015, is that correct?
We did. We moved in June of 2015, and I got to give credit to my husband for that move because he picked the home out sight unseen for me. I entrusted that to him, and we went under contract. I didn't see our home until closing day.
You guys were living down in Florida?
No, Philadelphia, in the Philadelphia suburbs.
Okay, and then
everybody's able to figure that out for my accent soon.
There you go. I wanted to let people know what because I think it's important for people to learn about the agents that they deal with. You know, if somebody does call you up about information. Was it Home Shopping Network or QVC you were involved with?
So I still am occasionally. I was with QVC pretty much full time for 13 years as an on-air guest host representing home decor products. So
that's great.
Absolutely love the job.
And you still have a passion for things like that right now?
Absolutely. I still occasionally work with them, but real estate takes up most of my time. But it's fun to pop on the air and say hi to old friends.
You sold one of the most expensive houses last year, and that was
1600 Country Club Drive.
Country Club Drive. And so that sold for
$1,805,000, I believe.
That's great. Were there local people that bought it, or was it from somebody from out of town?
No, it was actually a couple from California.
That's great.
And it was one of those situations where I had another brokerage had been asking via social media for a home in Rivertowne, which often happens. It's a very desirable community. And because of their perseverance for their client, I was able to reach out to them and connect them right away.
Let's dive into the neighborhood because that's what this special edition is all about, focusing on Rivertowne. And since you lived there, when you got settled in there and you and your husband got to kind of see the lay of the land, tell us what you saw and what you liked about it, Susan.
Well, it's a beautiful, beautiful community. It's very aesthetically pleasing. They're all custom homes. In my particular subsection, which I should explain, Rivertowne Country Club is a little bit unusual and different from other communities in Mount Pleasant in that it has subsections that are governed by different HOAs within it. So Rivertowne Country Club has the Isles, which is even further subdivided. It has the Point and the Creek, and then Parker's Landing. So they're very distinct neighborhoods within Rivertowne Country Club, all with different price points, architectural styles, and different HOAs.
When you have the various HOAs in there, I would think that would benefit, no matter what neighborhood it is. Right now we're talking about Rivertowne. I would think that it would benefit the homeowners because the interests, the special needs of those different neighborhoods are different with each neighborhood, correct? So
that's absolutely true. For instance, to your point, the Point in Rivertowne Country Club has a community dock, and the expenses for that are handled by the people who get to enjoy the dock in that particular subsection versus somebody in another section having to pay for that. So you're right. From a financial standpoint, it's It's very nice.
Podcasting has exploded in popularity, especially local podcasts. As of 2022, 62% of Americans have listened to a podcast. 38% have listened in the last month. 26% in the last week. The podcasting audience is booming with no signs of slowing down. Call the podcast hotline to be featured on these podcasts or to receive information about podcast marketing. Call 843-530-0403 or visit carolinapodcasts.com.
You're listening to the Voice for Real Estate podcast, a conversation about coastal Carolina real estate.
Tell us about the amenities there and what joy it brings to you.
So the one thing that everybody in Rivertowne Country Club can enjoy is the community pool. We have clay tennis courts. We have a playground. We have community parks, dog walking areas. So that's something that can be enjoyed by everybody. The country club itself is privately run by Club Corps. So the community isn't responsible for the upkeep of that building or its grounds, which is, again, a nice benefit. Our HOA fees are very, very low compared to other communities in Mount Pleasant because of that. But we can enjoy the country club if we choose. If you're a golfer, you can certainly join. But if you're not a golfer, you're not responsible for the financial. So
none of the other rooftops over there are the families. If you don't join, if you're not a member of the club, you bear no financial responsibility for the club. Only the club members do. Is that correct?
Correct. But the club does have a responsibility to our HOA, which is nice.
So they're responsible for their own HOA?
They are responsible for paying into ours.
Wow, that's beautiful. That doesn't, like you said, that doesn't always happen, does it?
Right. So it's a beautifully maintained golf course. And it's a Arnold Palmer 18-hole signature golf course. It's hosted the LPGA. It is one of the top golf courses in South Carolina, according to the Post and Courier. And it has reciprocity with other major golf courses like Snee Farm and Dunes West. So you can play a variety of courses depending upon your membership.
That's wonderful. Tell us about the waterfront, because do you know off the top of your head the amount of waterfront that lines up to Rivertowne?
So we have water access to both the Wando River and the Horlbeck Creek, which is a wide expanse. It's beautiful. And so there's marshland, there's riverfront, there's creek front, and even the creek, a large portion of it is deep water. So there's, dock homes, there's community dock access from, as I mentioned, the point. There are marsh views from public park areas. And also there are large lake-sized ponds. So tons of water. You can't avoid the water in Rivertowne, thus the name. But it's a wonderful place to live if you enjoy boating or just the scenic views.
Susan, are there a lot of families that live there with children?
So demographics are quite mixed. You get all ages. When I was preparing for this, that's one of the things I thought about, that there's a variety of lifestyles within Rivertowne, is there not? There truly is. There is something for everyone. And what I will say, not as a realtor, but as a neighbor, and I am very biased, I think it is an incredibly friendly community. We have food trucks that come in that are organized by neighbors. We have oyster roasts, we have block parties, we have Halloween trick-or-treat parties, golf cart parades, you name it. There's family movie nights coming up. It's just a very fun community. There's a lot of different activities going on that are very welcoming to new people.
Yes, Rivertowne is known definitely as a family friendly, that's for sure. I know probably not exactly, but come as close as you can, the approximate rooftops that are in there. How many are there about?
In the country club as a whole, just over 600. As I explained, it's a little bit different because of the way it's recorded in the MLS and tax records to keep track. But each section is very different. So as far as, what they say about politics, everything's local. So is real estate. It comes down to the blocks sometimes. So the price points in the aisles can be as low as the 600s. And then you get into Parker's Landing, and the highest sold price, I think, is 2.4 recorded. But what is similar about all the subsections, all the neighborhoods of Rivertowne Country Club, is that the turnover rate is about 8 or 9 years, which I think is it says a lot about the neighborhood.
That says a lot for the neighborhood, doesn't it?
So that's important to know. And as far as the ages of homes, the Isles was the first section to get developed, and that was in 2002. But they're still building new homes. There's not very many lots left, but we still do have new construction because the Parker's Landing section and the Point, there's a custom homes. So Centex was the developer who did the Isles. And then with Parker's Landing and the Point, it was custom home building.
Yeah, there's more custom homes in there than there are volume builders, is there not?
I'm sorry?
There's more custom home builders in there when it started than there is volume builders, is there not?
Absolutely. It is mostly custom. And there are no, in Rivertowne as a whole, which also includes the Tributary and Planters Point.
Planters Point isn't really in Rivertowne, is it?
So there is a section that is crazy,
okay.
right?
No, I didn't know that.
This goes back to the original developer of what was then called Parker's Island, ran into some real estate soap opera type scandal, and of course the financial crash of the late 2000s. And individual parcels got sold off to different developers, which is why there are so many subsections. There is a section of Planters Point within Rivertowne's community that uses the Planters Point amenities, and they are part of Planters Point.
I didn't know that.
That's all via a golf cart path through the Tributary section.
Since you live in there, and this is your home, and this neighborhood, the whole lifestyle is something you enjoy every day. When you take people in there to look at homes, give us an idea what rises to the top in their mind of why they like it. Like, what's for somebody new just driving through the gates? What tends to be the thing they get most joyful about?
You know what? Sometimes with real estate, it's so intangible. It's a feeling, and I think that the vibe, very technical real estate term, the vibe in Rivertowne is such that people can feel the friendliness. And actually, I shouldn't say is they see people walking down the street waving to them, and they don't know who they are. It's there's a lot of Southern hospitality. Everyone's smiling, everybody's waving, everyone's saying hello, how's your day? So there's that. And when you're showing a home, that's easy to see in the neighborhood if people are out and about and being friendly. So there's that. And I think also the aesthetics of the neighborhood, in that the landscaping, the common areas are so well kept, and the views are so pretty. I think that has a big wow factor. It's also convenient to the things on Highway 41 in the sense that as you're to the right of Rivertowne, there's two different shopping centers, both with supermarkets. You have restaurants that are right there. You can golf cart ride to a Harris Teeter. You can golf cart ride to the Rivertowne Public House. You can golf cart ride to the liquor store. And
or the dentist is next to the liquor store.
Well, I'm not going to talk about that because my husband's a dentist and he's in a different community.
I didn't know that. So but that's great. So when you show the property, they see that like in your industry, it's location, 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 right? So when you first moved in there, you and your husband moved in there in 2015, what was there about that neighborhood that surprised you? That was a pleasant surprise that you didn't know? You're going to go back to the friendly thing, but is there something that, wow, I didn't think about this when I first moved in?
It was absolutely the friendly thing, Bill. I came from an area where both my husband and I not only grew up and went to the same schools and church and raised our kids in that community. And Philadelphia is known for this. People rarely leave. So I have friends here that I'm as close to as the people I grew up with and raised my kids with. And that says so much. I mean, it's just such a friendly, caring community. And that was a huge surprise. Especially being a Yankee, I wasn't sure what the reception would be. And it was a very, very warm reception. And so that absolutely, the other thing we're, coming from the north, how beautiful it is, the palm trees, the water views. And then when I say the word water, that's when I'm from Philadelphia, the way I say it.
Susan, I think that I also think that because we do live on the coast, there's a certain peace of mind, so to speak, or peacefulness when you're surrounded by bodies of water.
Absolutely. Bill, the fact that I can be at a beach in 20 minutes where my blood pressure just plummets and it's complete zen, or I can be on the Wando River on a boat, finally bought one. I can't even tell you what that does for someone's quality of life.
Sure.
It is immense. And that my tagline is "Get busy living" from the Shawshank Redemption. Big fan of that movie. But it's so true. I didn't want to wait until I was retired to have quality of life, to enjoy my weekends. I wanted my life to feel like I was on vacation as much as it could. And that's what living here in the Low Country and in Mount Pleasant and specifically in Rivertowne does for me.
So you guys just got a boat. If you lived in Rivertowne, is there docking available or is there storage available? Can you address that, please?
There are so many options, but we have ours at the Wando dock on the Wando River off of Highway 41.
Which is how many miles from the gate?
Oh, not
Less
even
than 5?
Two. It's crazy. It's very, very close. And the dry stack there is fantastic. They have dock slips as well. There's another dry stack facility right across the bridge over in the Wando Cainhoy area. There are so many options for boat owners. You certainly can trailer to a community landing. We have one right off of Highway 17. There's several. But if you don't want a trailer, you have that option.
So, Susan, you certainly informed the audience about Rivertowne. Let's just drive out of the gates just for a second and briefly tell them where Rivertowne is located in relation to Myrtle Beach to Charleston. Where is it located?
Rivertowne is at the intersection of closest to Highway 17 and Highway 41. So if you're coming from Myrtle Beach, you'll pass Francis Marion National Forest on your left. You'll come through Allendale down into North Mount Pleasant, and it's located in North Mount Pleasant. When people say North Mount Pleasant, what they're referring to is any area north of the Isle of Palms connector. Anywhere south of that is South Mount Pleasant. This is a relatively new thing for people who grew up here, because what is this North and South Mount Pleasant? But it's a way to get, for people who are newer to the area, to get their bearings.
And we have a small town. It's got just now approaching a little over 100,000 people when you combine the both North and South Mount Pleasant. So I think there's a lot of mobility there. But Susan, I want to thank you for.
To put it in perspective, when we moved here in 2015, the population was 65,000.
Wow.
So look at that growth in 6 years, going on 7 years. But that's crazy growth.
It is.
And I'll say this: Mount Pleasant has not had many growing pains.
No, that's because everybody cares, and when you care, even though the decisions aren't made necessarily to your liking all the time, but if you care, your voice is heard. And everybody's voice within the government, in my opinion, of Mount Pleasant, like I said, all decisions aren't as popular as someone would like to be. But the fact is, we've controlled the growth here. And that friendliness can even be seen at City Hall over to the gates at Rivertowne. I'm glad we took the time to take a trip to Rivertowne and to listen to what you had to say. It's great, especially being a neighbor now. So living there in itself, you have insight nobody else has. So thanks for being with us here on Coastal Home Tour and Voice for Real Estate. Okay, Susan?
Thank you so much, Bill. Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching Voice for Real Estate, where you meet local experts who provide timely information in every episode. Be sure to subscribe, share, and comment. Find Voice for Real Estate online at voiceforrealestate.com.